Welcome back for another lore video. In today's video we'll be talking about the Dead 3, the Gods of Darkness, for they will certainly play a part in the story of Baldur's Gate 3. Not only have they been mentioned by Larian Studios themselves, but we've also seen symbols representing them in the gameplay. I'm going to go over who they are and a bit about their history, and you'll see how they tie into Baldur's Gate. If you guys end up enjoying this video, please subscribe. There'll be much more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way. I do have a lore playlist on Baldur's Gate 3 specifically, so check that out if you're interested. Links to my Twitter and my Discord server will be below. Enjoy the fire. Let's get right into it. The story of the Dead 3 starts with three power-hungry mortals, Bane the Tyrant, Bhaal the Assassin, and Myrkul the Necromancer. These three mortals forged a pact to achieve godhood, or die trying. They were powerful adventurers who traveled across the lengths of Faerun, which is the continent where Baldur's Gate is located on, and they were in search of power, emerging unscathed no matter what monsters they confronted or what spells they braved, and this is how they gained their first group title as the Dark Three. Their path to godhood would hold many challenges, for they lusted after the power of the Lord of the End of Everything, Jurgal. Jurgal was the god of strife, death, and the dead, who kept records on the final disposition of all spirits of the dead. The Dark Three would go on to destroy one of the 7 lost gods, ultimately inheriting a portion of the god's divine essence for themselves. This newfound divine power would lead them to the Castle of Bone, where Jurgal resided on his throne. The Dark Three successfully fought through endless hordes of undead, eventually making it to the throne where Jurgal sat. To their surprise, Jurgal willingly stepped aside, for he was no longer challenged by his godly position, and he felt weary of what he would now call his empty power. The former friends would erupt into conflict over who would hold the ultimate power. Jurgal, feeling impatient and not wanting to watch the Dark Three battle for eternity, decided to resolve their dispute with a game of skill. After some games of skull bowling and knucklebones, Bane would emerge as the winner and take on the divine portfolio of hatred, strife, and tyranny. Myrkul, who came in second place, would take reign over the dead, while Bhaal was left with dominion over death and murder. The Dark Three had achieved their goals and were now deities reigning over their respective realms, but there is a shortcoming to their story, and we'll get to that right after we introduce each of these gods individually. Bane was the god of tyranny, an evil and malicious deity of fear and hatred. His ultimate goal was to control all of Faerun. He was in many ways the ringleader of the three and the brains of the operation. He preferred to plot and scheme and act through his worshippers and other agents. When summoned, Bane had a dark and shadowy appearance, wearing what seemed to be a resemblance of dark armor. His symbol was a dark gauntlet, or a black hand, and his followers could be found wearing a single dark gauntlet. His followers were seen as thugs with high opinions of themselves. They were mostly martial-type fighters wearing armor and using weapons, but there were some priests. Myrkul was known as the Lord of Bones, the god of the dead, a powerful necromancer whose influence in Faerun was inspired by fear of death. His appearance was that of an animated skeleton of a man with black robes, and his face, a white skull shrouded in a black cowl, became recognized as the symbol of fear and death. His mission was to ensure that all Faerunians kept him in the back of their minds, and he would never miss an opportunity to remind them that he was waiting for them all. His followers were mostly comprised of necromancers, while his fodder and minions were of the lesser undead, such as zombies and skeletons. Bhaal was known as the Lord of Murder and was feared across all of Faerun, especially within the city of Baldur's Gate. His mission was to cause as much bloodshed as possible. He had 3 avatars, a shape-shifting monstrosity called Khaz'goroth, a corpse-like mal-humanoid called Slayer, and a gargantuan beast known as the Ravager. His followers were mostly assassins that would paint the streets in blood in honor of Bhaal. When the symbol of Bhaal, a skull with blood droplets or flames surrounding it, can be seen throughout a city such as Baldur's Gate, it means that the city is in a very dangerous state. For those of you who have played the original Baldur's Gate games, you would know that they deal heavily with the god of murder. In fact, on the cover of Baldur's Gate 1 is the symbol of Bhaal. I will likely do a video on the story of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 sometime in the near future. So why are they known as the Dead Three? This is where the story gets really interesting. Consumed by greed for even more power, Bane and Myrkul conspired together to steal the Tablets of Fate from the Lord Io. The Tablets of Fate were powerful artifacts that served to maintain the balance between the forces of law and chaos, and they acted as a barrier between the world of Abir and Toril, where Baldur's Gate is located. Lord Io was the overgod of the worlds Abir Toril, and is also the creator of these tablets that helped keep the two worlds apart. Frustrated with the deity's growing apathy and abdication of their duties, especially Bhaal, Myrkul, and Bane, Io struck down the gods to weaken forms of their respective avatars, sending the Tablets of Fate to the world and ushering in the Time of Troubles. During the Time of Troubles, deities of Faerun walked the earth in mortal forms, yet still possessing great power. Bane, Myrkul, and Bhaal were among these gods, and they relentlessly pursued after the tablets. But the Time of Troubles would also bring about the end of the reign of the Dark Three, as they were all eventually slain. When Io eventually recovered the Tablets of Fate, he decided to destroy them, which caused even more chaos as the worlds of Abir and Toril began to overlap. Io would eventually decide to recreate the tablets to separate the worlds once again and restore some order. Many of the deities who were slain before would now come back to life, including Bane, Bhaal, and Myrkul, and the Dark Three were now known as the Dead Three. The gods were now commanded by Io to no longer meddle with the affairs of the mortals and leave their worlds be. The Dead Three were so invested into the mortal worlds, it was all that they cared about, so they rejected this command, and Io would punish them by taking away their immortality and letting them live their pathetic mortal lives. Although no longer gods, they still had some divine power, and they could even imbue their followers with it. Doing so would help ensure their resurrection if they were to fall once again. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 players would know exactly what I'm talking about. The Dead Three would grow their following, but they themselves would have to keep a lower profile, for they were mortal, and certainly not loved by all. Followers of the more goodly gods would revel in the chance to end the reign of the Dark Three. Although the Dark Three each had their own followers, it appears as if they have joined together in some way or another to form a cult of the Dead Three, the ultimate evil. It is a possibility that we may come across Bane, Bhaal, or Myrkul in the flesh on our Baldur's Gate 3 journey, and it's a given that we will encounter their followers and spawns. As said by Larian Studios themselves, as we desperately seek a cure, we discover the tadpole gives us godlike powers, and we find ourselves on the center stage of a complot hatched by none other than the Dead Three, the gods of murder, tyranny, and death. Be on the lookout for Baneites scheming and planning ways to assume control over the city. Watch out for Bhaal assassins looking to end your life with the slash of a dagger, while the Myrkulites will gladly take your dead lifeless body and animate it back to life for their own use. On top of all this, we seem to have a mind flayer problem. Baldur's Gate 3 should be an interesting story and will create its own tale to be told for countless generations. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's a huge help to my videos. I do all sorts of content on this channel, ranging from comedy videos to live streams to game reviews to game tutorials and much more. And I'd love to see some of you guys on a future video. Much more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way. Until next time.